Yeah, this is a key here. So, so it's rare that you have just a complete slick day, especially in Florida, January, February. The wind likes to blow a lot that time of year. So when you're fishing these pads, it's going to blow the pads around, it's going to blow your line around, it's going to blow your boat around. So one thing I always like to do that's very key to me, I either want the wind in my face, blowing straight in my face, or straight at my back. I really prefer it to be at my back. I'd never want to cast across the wind, because if the wind's blowing like this and I'm casting like this, it's blowing, the pads are leaning like this, and it's blowing my line like this. I can't control it. I can't weave it in those pads like I talked about before. I'm not able to do that. But if it's at my back, it's laying the pads over like this. I'm able to throw it like this, and I'm able to weave it in the way I need to. Plus it's at my back, so I'm not throwing against it, I'm not fighting it, and I can just control everything better. If it's in my face, it's kind of the same way. The only thing against it in your face is, you know, you're throwing against the wind. It's a little, maybe you got to throw a little harder, but you can still be accurate if you're throwing against it instead of across it. When you're throwing across it, it's super hard to be accurate. Like I said, you find a little depression, and sometimes that's not super easy. But I go back, you know, that's where a good tungsten weight, I definitely use a tungsten weight, fluorocarbon line, and a good sensitive rod. That really helps you find that depression. But you can, as you're pulling it along, you can kind of, even if you don't feel the depression, sometimes you got that feel of where your bait's at on the cast, and you can stop and let it sit there. Also, you know, you may feel that root ball, and you can stop and let it sit and maybe shake it a time or two. You know, going back, you're visualizing that there's a bass sitting there on the bed, and you're trying to make it bite. So be stealthy. Another thing, when you're in this situation, you don't need to know how deep it is. It's shallow. You want to know how deep it is, stick your rod in the water and see. I mean, going old school. So cut your sonar off. I leave my map on, but I stop sonar. You don't want that pinging. And I do that a lot other times of the year if I'm fishing shallow water as well. Any boat noise, you know, you drink a bottle of water, don't just throw it in the floor, kind of just be quiet. Don't hoop and holler when you catch one unless you're fixing to win a tournament like I did. I kind of got a little loud, but you know, you get a pass if you do that. Your power pole settings, this is pretty cool here. So you can, you know, you can go in the app for a power pole on your phone, or, you know, you can actually do it on the buttons itself. You can change the speeds. And the speeds, you know, the faster, the louder. The faster you have it, the pole's going down and up, the louder it's going to be. So if you can, you know, find that medium, you know, you're definitely going to be a little bit more quiet, not make as much noise, be more stealthy. Use the wind. And I know that's another reason that I like it at my back. So I can pull those poles up, and instead of using my trolling motor to, you know, advance forward, I can let the wind push me a little bit. Maybe I only want to go 10 feet forward. I can let the wind push me. I just pick my poles up, and I'm not gonna pick them all the way up. I'm gonna pull them up just enough to let me move where I'm not anchored. And then when I get to where I wanna be, put them back down. As little noise as possible, as stealthy as possible. Be mentally prepared. I mean, that can go in anything with fishing. You can put that anywhere with fishing. But this is a deal, you had 6 bites in this area, and it may be a fairly large area with a lot of targets, but you had 6 bites there in practice. You got to know if you had nothing else, go in that place, go that area, and you can slow down, really pick it apart. Go back to a tournament I had at Lake Okeechobee a few years ago. It was a very, very tough tournament, extremely tough. The best thing I had from practice, 3 days of practice, actually 4 days of practice, I believe, the best thing I had 2 bites and one, it wasn't very small, but I mean, it wasn't very large either, but I had 2 bites there in practice. That's the best thing I had. And I said, I'm going there and I'm going to figure it out. I went there. There was probably 15 more boats in the area, which is typical in Florida. And I caught 1 fish fairly quick that morning. And about an hour to go, I figured it. I finally got in this one area, like one small area in the area. Plus, it was a little different. I had been fishing in the grass, the hydrilla and the milfoil out in the middle all day. I got to the reeds, these fish had actually pulled up to spawn, kind of going back to the pad deal. So, but I took that and I rode that and I finished second in that event. But that's what I mean by being mentally prepared.
And the information Bass University provides isn't your basic run-of-the-mill fishing video. This is specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly.